They discovered my guys were undercover, and we don't know how.
So you want to recruit us?
This is a story about being undercover. And what happens when you go deep undercover. Particularly if you're doing an operation in a foreign country where your badge doesn't count and where you can't have a SWAT team surveilling you and people are not in contact. You really are out on the edge.
Why do I get the feeling everybody knows we're here 15 blocks out?
Because everybody knows we're here 15 blocks out.
It's the allure of doing that undercover work and what happens to you when you're deep in that role of that fabricated identity.
Sonny Burnett, it's my partner Ricardo.
And what does that sound like? To me, it sounds like an actor on a stage. Of you're connecting with your audience and they're zoned into you, and you're zoned into them, and you know you're golden glowing and scoring like a champ.
Nice day.
The school of Michael Mann, there's always going to be that where you get a chance to meet the person.
Now we got to talk money. Because you got to remember, we got money up front and we don't got nothing, you know what I'm saying?
Meet that undercover agent, meet that cab driver, meet whatever it is, in order for you to extract something from them.
These roles are filled by the real deal. You know, 2 of Yarrow's bodyguards work for Homeland Security. You know, they do the undercover work that Crockett and Tubbs are doing, you know? So it's just an amazing resource to have, like, right there.
How I know if you any good at this shit?
What's that?
You have to act, talk, and walk like a bad guy.
We didn't come down here to audition for business. Business auditions for us.
You have to convince the bad guy that you are not a cop, because that's the first thing they're gonna look for, is whether you're a cop or you're informant.
Don't waste our motherfucking time.
So you have to adapt yourself and change yourself to play whatever role you're trying to play.
The best cover, the best fabricated identity is yourself.
You want us to be telling you about our shit? You can't find out on your own. Why do I not buy that?
But it's kind of a supra you.
You with DEA, the feed, what's up?
It's all the impulses of your personality with the volume turned up and the inhibitions turned off.
How many roles you got? How many more can we get?
I try to stay close to script, close to what I know in my life, or I did working undercover, so that you don't make those mistakes later on, so that you're consistent. And that's the answer of consistency.
Well, my dad never got lucky. So he started trucking. Yeah, I didn't see a whole lot of but we were close.
You tell them you're from Kentucky, and one day you say it was Kansas. They said, wait a minute, you told me because these guys are looking too.
Jose, what is it?
I don't like the Americans.
Why?
Too good at what they do.
I got a double hit. There's another plane there.
Ghost.
One plane.
They prepare before they go undercover in the same way an actor prepares, in terms of knowing everything about the person that they're pretending to be and isolating themselves and focusing in.
Michael was like, any resources or any way that I can help you, I'm there for you. For instance, we flew to New York, Elizabeth and I, and we worked with the DEA, and they took us out on drugs, on a real drug bust.
There was a group in New York who was scheduled to purchase, I believe, cocaine, and we'd actually gone out to cover that meet. And they came out with us to surveil and see the actual hand-to-hand take place.
I guess people see them coming, all of a sudden you hear people screaming, cops, cops, cops. And then it just happened so fast.
We actually concocted a scenario where Colin Farrell would be under the impression he was actually doing a real deal.
They got me. Jesus, talk about punked. Lorenzo had a deal going that day where he had dealt with these guys for about 6 months. And he had bought a certain amount of coke off them, and then the loads had gotten bigger and bigger.
And we set up this scenario where we were going to do a delivery of 20 kilos of cocaine.
I said I'd love to be there. I'd love to see it go down.
We basically told him, no, you just stay in the background. This deal's already been done. we set him up, kind of. We told him, look, it's already been done. Nothing's going to happen.
He said to his boss, Lorenzo, he's like, I think Colin's good for it. I think he can do it. I mean, he's caught on really quick, and he won't say anything. I'll take care of it. These guys know me. He'll be fine, you know. Do you want to do it? And I was asking, of course, my ego's way too big, and I have far too much pride to say no. So I said, sure. I said, I'm in. Fuck it.
Mike, you ready?
Yeah.
You ready, Jesus? Yeah. Let's go.
So we went to the warehouse, and then the shit hits the fan.
The scenario was set that when we arrived with the dope, we'd say, well, wait a minute, I've never seen these individuals before, you must be cops, and we'd create that chaos.
One of the guys grabs his gun, doesn't point it, just grabs it out of his pants. I'll never forget it as long as I fucking live. I don't know how I didn't pass the fuck out.
Yeah, how about you? Now you say it. Oh, do I look like a fucking cop? Yeah.
At one point, rips his shirt open and he goes, look, I'm not a cop. I don't have no wires. And I thought, oh, that's pretty good. It threw me off.
It was very scary. It was very, very, very scary, because for all intents and purposes, it was such a good setup. And I couldn't sleep that night. I couldn't sleep. It kept flashing. The guy that went for his gun, his face, because he kept staring at me. After it all cooled down, he just sat in a chair and just stared at me for like 10 fucking minutes.
Good job, man. Good job, brother. Mikey, good. Yeah, good. Good. How's it feel, brother?
Oh, fuck, man. I didn't know what the fuck. And I couldn't sleep that night. I called Lorenzo's boss at about 2 o'clock in the morning. He was in bed with his wife and just had to talk to him about it for about 10 minutes. He felt so bad. They weren't going to tell me the next day. He came around to the hotel room with Michael and told me it was all set up. They got me good.
When it does happen, you're very grateful that you are prepared. You're very grateful for all of the training. Once you are in a situation, all of the training, everything that you've been taught automatically just takes over.
They have backstories they've created and fabricated identities where they just have created an absolute alternate existence.
Did you run them?
Yes.
Did they check out?
Yes.
There were more than 100 people who did a lot of very important work that nobody ever saw.
FBI Miami.
You cannot artificially create a background without that kind of support, especially in today's day and age with databases that are so readily available to private investigators that might be working for drug traffickers. It's very easy for them to pressure test background to see whether or not you are who you say you are.
And action! Action! Action!
Gong Li plays a woman who moves money and launders money. And we were fortunate enough to be able to make available an extremely high-level guy who, when he was in federal law enforcement, had run a money laundering scam on Pablo Escobar's organization. And the work he did was part of the evidence with which we indicted Noriega.
The Mazer, he was about to get married. It was part of his story. And so he called up all the guys that he wanted to arrest, and he said to them, I'm having a bachelor party at this place at this time. And they all came along, and they herded them all into the place where the bachelor party was taking place, and they arrested them all.
The wedding invitation read, we invite you to be with us as we begin our new life together. But it was really an invitation to jail for 85 people, several of them executives with an international bank and holding company.
The trafficking organizations, the big ones, run their businesses in smart, sophisticated ways, and they buy the best they can get in terms of their security, their counter-intel, their signal interception.
They're jamming the phones.
This is the type of stuff CIA does.
Yeah, what's it doing on a dope deal?
The Medellin cartel, their gross receipts were roughly $160 million a month. That can buy a lot of tech support, a lot of lawyers, a lot of private investigators, and it does.
It's not about one commodity, cocaine, in one geographical location, Colombia. That's yesterday's newspaper.
Montoya is the new news, globalized.
It's about globalized forms of trafficking.
Colombian coke and H, arms from the Ukraine, E from Holland, pirated software from China into Brazil.
If you're dealing in major narcotics anywhere in the country, you're often dealing with men that act as businessmen.
These people, if they were born in any other situation, would run Fortune 500 companies. They would be the heads of states, they would be governors, lawyers, but they just happen to be in this.
Excuse me, because I am very busy. I have many things to do, so this will be brief, yes?
From the Medellin cartel, they had some brilliant, highly educated individuals at the upper echelons of command and control.
You know, I've gone to in these meetings, like you're sitting in an incredible, luxurious hotel, spending thousands and thousands of dollars on a drink tab, you know, eating the best foods, driving in the best cars, and then you leave and you get in your, you know, your Lumina or your, you know, your 1973 Volkswagen and have to kickstart. And you're thinking, man, I just left, you know, I just went from a king to nothing, but that's it. It's what it is.
And in the last case that I worked, my partner ultimately did get drawn to the other side and wound up compromising my identity, which could have had a very, very bad outcome in it. But ultimately, we were able to piece that all together, and he wound up serving an 11-year prison sentence.
At the end of the day, it has to be your personal moral beliefs and your character that prevent you from crossing over.
There's nothing in this world, there's no monetary amount out there that's gonna make me compromise and hurt my family.
You know, there is a temptation, but the day you think that way is the day you have to walk away from the truth.
You know, they were living on the edge. I mean, they were living on the edge. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 takes.
Collins.
I mean, they get one shot, you know, and the downside of a bad take for them isn't a shift in direction or mood for the scene. It's a bullet in the head.
Cut. What's the one?
You told me you were drowning.
Why do people do this undercover work? What's the draw? Why do they put themselves at such risk?
I've seen your face before, my friend, but I don't know if you know.
There's a high. There's an elevated experience. And that's what really motivates them. It's that moment when you know that they believe you 100%, that you have got them, that you have put over this fabricated identity, this fabricated scenario, and you're living it, and you're feeling it, and they're buying it.
I can feel it coming.